You don't need your glasses on for this. If your girl is in a floaty with a nigga and then she got her fingers locked, I mean, do you need to see condoms at this point to know that something is not right? And I think what makes more sense if you know where their spouses were, right? Their spouses wasn't there, so they had no reason to be in that kind of secluded place. You don't go for business meetings in a remote place with just you and the opposite sex. Come on, like, are we really having this conversation? This lets you know certain people you can't play with, and everybody doesn't settle the score when you want to settle it. This is somebody that thought about this. She pissed off or she did something wrong, and that person never forgot about it. They put a private investigator on her, got the picture they needed, and said, "Gotcha."
What's going on there, guys? Back with another one. This whole Dianna Russini and Mike Vrabel situation continues to go viral. I'm going to play some clips from that, but we got Shady McCoy taking up for Mike Vrabel and basically saying everybody need to mind their own business. And ironically, Steve Smith Sr. liked that video, considering what he went through, not long ago. But Mike Vrabel, if for y'all that don't know, was seen with Dianna Russini, and they were very intimate looking together out there in Sedona, and he was hugged up with her. Their hands were interlocked together, and it was just an overall bad look for two people who are married and have children. It's just a terrible look. We're gonna get into some of the things she said. We're also gonna get into what Acho and Shady McCoy had to say.
I'm married to someone average. I don't post a lot about them. If I was married to someone beautiful, I'd overpost too.
They have a Super Bowl.
No, I did things in Miami I haven't even told my husband because it's just I had that much fun. It was well, not like that, but like I knew he would he would judge the kind of partying I was doing.
Oh, yeah.
I remember thinking because I think when men propose, that's their wedding day. Like that's when you guys are all in. It's not really all in for us yet. I think for women, the actual wedding day is the moment. So, I mean, Kev was all down for it. I was the one that was very skeptical. I was like, oh, I don't know. And at the time, I was working at ESPN, and I remember I was still working. And so the night before my wedding, I'm making calls, and I had a phone interview set up with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I remember Jimmy was great. He made like a funny joke like, hey, it's night before your wedding. You sure you want to do this? And I'm thinking like, of all the people in my life that I'm going to talk to the night before my wedding, the one guy my dad wanted me to, or my mom wanted me to marry was Jimmy Garoppolo. And he's calling me like, this is a sign. I of course did not marry Jimmy Garoppolo.
What's been the best part of your birthday so far today?
My son, Carter.
As the foremost expert on this topic.
Oh.
Put it out there. Come on, bro. Put it out there. Let me just take the sting down. Let me put it out there. Beat them to the punchlines.
Yeah.
As the foremost expert on this topic, here's what nobody's talking about in regards to Russini and Vrabel. Somebody hired a private investigator. And why is nobody discussing this? You do realize an iPhone could not zoom in from that distance. You do realize that those shots, those camera shots were very peculiar and intentional camera shots. That was not a fan that just happened to be wandering through Sedona, Arizona and was like, oh, is that Mike Vrabel and who's that mystery woman? No, that was, as the article suggested, like a spy who took those shots with the camera from a distance. So first and foremost, what nobody is talking about in regards to this whole situation is that a PI was hired for this situation. The question I'm curious about is just who hired the PI.
We got to stop this, man. Right? First of all, good morning. Second of all, we got to stop judging and getting everybody's business. This is the situation with Coach Mike Vrabel. Listen, I've been around co-workers and different employees where you can be hanging out and it looks like something that is not. But we so quick to judge and say it's this and say it's that. It's crazy. For example, if I'm at a bar, right, and I look across the bar and the lights are dim, and I see a married man at the bar, and the married man's at the bar talking to a lady, and I'm looking over there and I see the married man having a conversation. Then he grabs his phone, and the light shows up because it's a dim light. The light on his phone shows up, and he's talking to her, and he's in his phone, and she's in her phone, and she's talking to him. So she might look down at her phone and then talking to him. From a distance, what do you think's going on? Because from a distance, it looks like he's taking her phone number and she's taking his phone number. But in all reality, it could just be him having a conversation with her and checking his text messages. Stop creating this narrative and let that man be.
That was my thing. When looking at it, the private investigator work that was done, were these people hired by one of the spouses of one of the alleged offenders? They're going to say it was nothing, but the people that hired the private investigators, this was like an episode of Cheaters, the type of pictures that were taken. Nobody's going to be following someone in the middle of a desert that isn't a professional. Nobody's just going to think to snap that picture of somebody else in that type of way. And they were following you to your hotel. These are just the pictures we're seeing online. How many other pictures are out there? If they got you on a rooftop, you know what I'm saying? They got you on a rooftop in a private area, at a secluded resort. Well, that part of the resort is exclusive to people who paid an extra fee and paid for extra quality of room. You're seeing them all over, seeing them walking by. The private investigator had cameras all over the place. And it was somebody who obviously got access to that spot that was, secluded off from the rest of the world. You couldn't just go to the other rooftop and get those pictures. So I'm saying all that to say it's a lot more pictures out there than we seen. So if something did happen, it's probably better to come clean about it than just to say it was a ridiculous report, and this is not that shocking. We seen Steve Smith not long ago mess with that was it the cheerleading coach for the Baltimore, or the dance team coach for the Baltimore Ravens, and he had bad text messages and things like that. That's what it makes me wonder, with this private investigator, were phone lines tapped? Where did they get any extra type of info where it has them speaking or on video doing something they shouldn't have done? You got people going in rooms at certain times and exiting at times way later, like you would see on an episode of a show like Cheaters. I just wonder how much is out there. Was this put out there to let them know, look, we got more, and to let them know that it's hanging over their head? I don't know, but to look at this, nobody wants to see their wife in this position. No woman wants to see her husband, prancing around with a woman like this and looking off into the sunset and the distance and the beauty of the desert. That is very intimate interaction, and them trying to pretend it wasn't such. We were just out there, which would be crazy, and just looking at it, that'd be one thing. But like, why does she need to be in his arms and hugged up with him? To call that harmless and innocent, that, okay, cool, that could be innocent if you were single, but it can't be innocent if you're a married woman, so that's what I got to say about that. And I want to know what you guys think in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time. Peace.